Most of the business owners that I talk to, they believe that they have a leads problem, that the solution for this problem is to have more campaigns, more ads, more outreach. And from my 15 plus years inside agencies, companies, and enterprise, the thing that I've seen over and over again is that these business owners, what they're doing, they're pouring money in a system that doesn't work, that would never ever convert these leads at all. And today I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by that. I have worked with businesses across the UK, Europe, Canada, the US, and Brazil, and this pattern is always the same. By the end of this video, you're going to be able to see if you really have a leads problem or if there is something else earlier in your system that is making you not convert the leads that you already have. I'm going to talk about what a broken system looks like, what's the cost of having a broken system, what fixing the system actually means in practice, and when the leads become a real solution for the problems that you have. More leads into a system that is broken doesn't fix the system. It just amplifies what's already broken. You end up spending way more money in that, and then you pour money, you get even more leads on top of that, but then you cannot convert any of them or just a small fraction. The original problem was never on top of the funnel. It was actually in your process, in the conversion of that lead. So I'm going to talk about like one past client that I had. He had a dental practice. He would tell me that he wanted at least 40 warm leads a month for him to convert and get more clients, right? More patients in his case. Didn't matter how much we optimized the campaigns for them. There were issues that he refused to address, like fixing parts of the website or even parts that we couldn't control, which was his sales cycle. But he was always pressing for that. He didn't want to invest even more money on the campaigns. He kept saying that the issue was the campaigns that were driving already clients, patients that he already had. But the thing that he couldn't realize is that every time we asked, how is your sales process? Do you have a script? Who actually converts? Who talks to the new patients? What do they say? Are they pushing back? What are the pain points that they're raising? There was nothing at all that he could tell us because there were no systems tracking any of these issues. I ended up working with that account with my team, and we later found out that a lot of the calls that they were receiving from the ads that we were producing to them, the calls weren't even being picked up. Therefore, the leads were leaving messages on the phone, and sometimes people wouldn't even like follow up. This was after we installed a system in there to track the calls, and that's how they started to see the problems that were happening. So ultimately, it wasn't a problem of leads. They were getting decent leads, but the thing is that if nobody's there to pick up the call, how are you going to actually convert that lead? Before you start spending even more money with ads, I would like to invite you to draw the whole process from the moment that the lead clicks on your ad, either on Google, LinkedIn, or whatever you're publishing. And then how is the full process? After they click, do they go into what landing page? Do they have like a form in there? Do they have a phone number that they do it? It's like if they fill in the form or if they pick up the phone and they call you, what happens next? Who picks up the phone? What do they say? If they fill up the form, what happens then? What is the kind of follow-up up to the point that they can, become a client or a patient in this example? So when I talk about fixing a system with most business owners, they think they have to redo the whole thing. And it's not really that. What I mean is more like you can fix the system, the disconnected parts of this system, in a way that you can have accountability from end to end. So you can track the whole process and figure out where the problem of losing a lead happened. So now I'm going to talk about another client of ours. They were partnering with us so we could perform their ads. And we noticed that the quality of the leads, they were getting in there, but somehow we were losing them. They were not converting. And the easiest way for you to know that is when your client calls saying, I'm not happy because I'm not getting enough leads, right? But then I started to check. They they just paid us to do the PPC campaigns. This is something that I particularly don't like it. So what I discussed with the client, I said, look, who's doing your SEO? Right? And he's like, oh, I have a guy that is doing that. And then I'm like, okay, what does this guy do? "Oh, he does the SEO stuff and he produces content." That's when we went there and started to check. And there were like random blog posts here and there. It wasn't consistent at all. It wasn't talking directly to their ICP. And what I proposed to him, I said, look, why don't we do it a trial and we take over the whole thing? We're going to look after your website. We're going to create landing pages. We're going to create content for you on the website, on your social media. And then we see what happens, because it seems like you're always coming back to us thinking that the leads that we're sending you, they're not good enough. But I feel like if we take a look at the whole thing and we're responsible for the whole process, something will be different. What happened is that we've managed to fix a lot of issues on the website that the guy, the SEO guy, wouldn't do it. We created specific landing pages for the campaigns. That was something that we were always asking them to do it, but they kept sending to the specific pages that they weren't landing pages. They were just like informational pages that they had, or the contact us page, full of possible clicks here and there. And that wasn't good enough. So we started fixing that. We also started creating content that was more tailored to their ICP. And that started to make them rank a bit better organically in the search engines and started showing better even on LLMs. And guess what? What happened is that all the paid media campaigns that we put in place, it started to perform pretty well. And I remember specifically this client because the first times that I started talking to him, he said like, oh, we used to get so many leads that we wouldn't bother you. But now I have to call you all the time because we're not getting enough leads. So the way for you to know that I'm happy is if I don't call you. That means that I'm busy with leads enough and doing my own businesses that I don't have to call you. And guess what? 2 or 3 months later, he would we were trying to get meetings up to this point. We still want to meet with him to go over some of the reports, to discuss some of the things. It's really hard. It's like, I don't have the time to do that. Like, keep doing whatever you're doing. A tip for you is to audit the whole process of your sales cycle from, for example, from these ads up to the point that you convert your lead and even onboard the new client. Who's responsible for that? So a lot of times what happens is that people, they have like their SEO guy, their IT guy. And the issue with that is that if you have multiple agencies, if you have multiple players doing parts of your whole marketing, nobody owns the full outcome. Usually it's either you as the business owner that have to own the whole outcome. But then what happens is that there is a lot of blame shifting from one place to the other. So going back to the problem is that the fix for this is accountability and not budget. Once the system is working as expected, having more leads is exactly the right solution for the problem. Scaling a working system is super straightforward, while scaling a broken one, you're just burning money. Some months ago, I was talking to one business owner. He had an IT company, and he had been burned by two agencies. I've already talked about that. There are some agencies out there that they shouldn't exist. They are definitely money grabbers, and that guy had been burned at least twice. So what his solution was to raise £1 million to then start hiring a sales team. He wanted to hire a specific sales guy, a technical sales guy, and that guy would build his own marketing department. Right? For me, it didn't make any sense. First of all, he didn't even have a system in place. He wanted to raise capital, give equity of his company away, to then hire one person that would have to do the whole thing, from the sales and develop the whole thing. It was a sales guy that he wanted to put in charge of the whole marketing. So you see, it's like this doesn't work. I will be honest, he was like in this pursuit for at least 18 months and he couldn't get the money, right? Because the problem wasn't like hiring new people, it was like building a system, or maybe hiring an agency that would do that for him, up to a point where it would make sense for him to hire internally when the systems were already in place and working perfectly as expected. He was trying to scale a team that didn't even have an existing system for them to use. So my point is that once the system is already in place, you already know it's working, it will be so obvious that all you have to do is just, for example, spend more money on ads, because you already know how to convert people. The conversion rate is pretty great, the cost of acquisition is pretty great, and all I have to do is like pour more money. That's it. So then you get more leads. So this would be the ideal solution for the problem, but not if you don't even have a system in place or if it's completely broken. I would like to invite you to ask yourself, if you've managed to double the number of leads that you currently have right now, would your team be able to handle it all? Or would that break part of the system that you've been hiding behind this low volume of leads? If you're not sure, you already know the answer. So you probably came here to this video trying to figure out how to get more leads. But I hope that by this point, you have a different question in your head. Is my system already ready for the leads that I want? That should be the question in your head right now. If you're not sure, or if you know that the answer is no, and you want some help, have a link at the description below. We would have to see if we are a great fit to help you. And then you're going to be able to see how it is to work with Digivate in the first 90, 120 days, and see if that's something that you would like to experience. If you want to know a bit more how we came about with this model that we run at Digivate, there is a link to the video where I tell the whole story of how I came about Digivate and why we run the company the way we run.